Welcome to Lesson 9 of our unit. And in Lesson 9, we are going to be talking about text. So for your warm-up journal, I want you to look at this cartoon. It was made in Game Lab. What do you think the alien should be saying? Now, we have two aliens, right? We have little Pinky over here and purple over here. This is a speech bubble. It's empty. What do you think this little pink alien should be saying? I want you to write that in your journal. So pause the video here so that you can do that. We have had a lot of fun drawing things and using our sprites, but there's been one thing missing from our Game Lab pictures, and that is text. Today, we're going to learn how to add text to Game Lab projects. So our question of the day is, how can we use text to improve our scenes and animations? We have no activity guide for this, but also the code.org levels are pretty short. There are only 6 levels for this particular lesson. So go to Code Studio Level 1, Lesson 9. This is what it looks like. Okay. We're going to start with a prediction. So read the code and discuss it with your partner, what you think it will do. What will it show on the screen? Where will it be displayed? Run the code and test your prediction. Like I've said before, for these prediction levels, you cannot run it until you type an answer. And then once you type an answer, you cannot change it. It's okay if your answer is not 100% correct. All right, that is okay. However, your answer should not just be a single letter or just whatever in order for you to be able to run it. That's not acceptable. Trying but not getting it right, that's acceptable. Okay, so pause the video here so that you can do this, make your prediction, and then we're going to talk about it, all right? What will show on the screen? Where will it be displayed? So yesterday I was working in text. So if you want to see the text, click Show Text. If you don't and you want to see the blocks, click Show Blocks. So we have text that says hello. Usually our first 2 numbers lately have been X and Y. So let's just continue with that pattern. Let's say this 10 is X and the 200 is Y. And then we have text that says everyone, add an X of 200 and a Y of 300. So if we say 10 X of 10, okay, somewhere here, and then 200. We know 200 is at the middle. So approximately on the very left in the middle is where we should see hello, and then everyone is X of 200. Okay, that's going to be vertically the middle and a Y of 300. So not the very bottom middle, but kind of like the middle of the bottom in the middle. So let's run it and let's see. Hello, everyone. So it didn't put everyone in the middle like I thought it would. 200, 300. It put the corner of it in the middle. And so that's important to know. That's where the letter E started. That's not where the middle of the text was. That's going to be good to know. Okay, so work on levels 2 through 3. Follow the instructions on each level. If you get stuck, use the Help and Tips tab. Use the code documentation under See Examples. If you make a big mistake, use version history to go back. Now, the Game Lab documentation can be found at studio.code.org/docs/IDE/GameLab/expressions/text. Okay, you can use this to help you. All right, but you're going to work on 2 through 3. All right, read the informational part and then read the instructions, help and tips. Okay, pause the video here so you can do that. And if you have a partner or if you have somebody in your room that you can ask for a little bit of help, that's great. Okay, when you ask for help, it's important that you are the one doing stuff. So if you have to get help from somebody, just let them tell you and you do it. That's perfectly fine. That's how you should get help if you need help. Let them tell you how to do it, but you actually be the person on code.org to do it, okay? Pause the video here so you can do that. Level 4. Okay, let's just do one of these. If you have time, then do them both. I am definitely going to go through this snake one with you because we found a lot of people in the class when we did this yesterday had trouble with debugging the snake. You might not have trouble with debugging it, okay? So I want you to try it on your own. Pause the video here so you can try it on your own. And if you just get stuck and you just can't figure it out, come back after you've tried it and I'll show you what's happening, okay? So pause the video here so you can try it by yourself. All right, so let's look at this code, okay? Okay, well, first let's read the instructions. This scene has all the right code. The code is correct, but it's not in the right order. The scene should look like the image on the right. This is what our final picture should look like. Can you reorder the blocks so that each part of the scene is drawn in the correct order? We are not adding anything, okay? Hint, you often want to call draw sprites at the very end of your program so that sprites are drawn on top of your background. And that's what they did here. But for some designs, you may want to call draw sprites earlier so that your sprites are on top of some shapes but not on others. And I think what may have happened in class is that people didn't read this part, okay? Because if it's saying in the hint, you might not want to use draw sprites at the very end. Where should, if we're moving the draw sprites block, where should it go? Think about it as in if you are painting, okay? First, I want you to understand that just because we created the prisoner and we made sure that the prisoner is a snake, we didn't draw the prisoner until the very end. So our painting, we paint the background. We decide the text should have no stroke. We fill the text with black. We make it a size 50, and then we show the text. We fill the following shapes with the color of dark gray, and we have these rectangles at X, Y, width, and height. X, Y, width, height. X, Y, width, height. X, Y, width, height. And then we decide to draw our snake. So we need to move the snake. Okay, let's start right here. We know these rectangles are our bars, our gel cell. Okay, so let's reset. We moved the snake behind the gel cell. All right, progress. We need the words to be on top. So what needs to happen now? All of our other text, like anything involving the text, needs to go at the end. Okay, so let's start with no stroke. And there's more than, what I love about programming and code is that there's more than one way to do it. So while I am moving the text stuff to the very end, greetings. Uh-oh, we do have one problem here because now this the bars have a stroke, and they're not supposed to. So that's a new problem. Very interesting. No stroke should stay up here. All right, the no stroke was actually for the bars. Okay, so this is how one way to do it. Okay, let me go back, restore this previous version. And the previous version still has the background. We're still drawing that. Okay, so we moved the snake above here. Is that what we did? Okay, so now the bars are here. So one way to do it is to move the draw sprites right before the background. Okay, and then move the text and the text color to the bottom. The reason we wouldn't necessarily have to move the text size is because it's talking about text size. Text size is not going to affect a shape. It's just going to affect the text. So if you wanted to, just for good measure, you could move it down there. It's not going to change anything because it's still just going to affect the text. The no stroke, we want it to affect the text also. So there's more than one right way to accomplish a task when you're programming. And that's one reason why I love code so much, because it's not so black and white. Like, this is right, the other way is right. And I like the freedom that you can have when doing that. So if you only did one, that's great. If you want to do both of them, that's even better. I'm not going to penalize you for only choosing one, and I'm not going to penalize you for only choosing the snake because I helped you through that one, okay? Pause the video here if you decide to do the other one. Level 5 is the assessment level, okay? It's important to really try to do the assessment level on your own, all right, because it's trying to measure what you have done so far. Here is a scene, but it needs text. Add 2 pieces of text to the following scene. Make the 2 pieces of text different sizes. Now, we have played with this in previous levels, okay? I am looking for 2 pieces of text to appear on the screen in reasonable places, okay? So you will have to change the X and the Y positions of the text. And the text should be different sizes. If you have that, and they are in reasonable locations, like near the characters, right? Then you are going to get a 4. Does it have to look pretty? No. All right, we're not Picasso. We are learning programmers. It should be in a reasonable location, so use your grid to make sure you get it in a reasonable location and that it's visible and that the text is 2 different sizes. All right. If you have any questions about that, please don't hesitate to reach out. Pause the video here so that you can do the assessment level and then come back. Level 6 is our challenge level. It's always good to challenge ourselves, okay? On level 6, you have 3 guided challenges that you can choose from. Choose one for the sake of time. If you have time, because this was way too easy for you, then by all means, do them all, okay? I'm not sure if you might want to attempt the free play, but go for it, all right? Do any or all of the challenge levels. Follow the instructions for the challenge level. Check out the help and tips and the documentation if you need help. And take a screenshot of your final image. Share it in our post, our discussion post with the lesson that you completed it in so that we can give you love and support for being so awesome. Okay, pause the video here so you can do level 6 and then come back so we can do our final journal prompt, okay? You've drawn with both text and shapes to the screen. What are 2 ways drawing with text is similar to drawing with shapes? What is one way that drawing with text is different from drawing with shapes? Pause the video here so that you can answer these. Type this in your journal and then answer these questions. I found the second question to be the more difficult to answer. What is one way that drawing with text is different from drawing with shapes? But one possible difference that it is more difficult to control the exact size of text, since the amount of text and font size are not as specific as the height and width parameters. When you're controlling the text, so when you're controlling the text, you have this text size option, and this is measured in pixels. Okay, pixels, so your screen is made up of pixels. It's an itty bitty square. And whenever you put all of these itty bitty squares together and you give them all different colors and you tell them where to go and which ones to be colors where, that is when you have this full picture. And so when we're telling our text size to be 12 pixels, we can put text size right here and then an X and a Y. It's just not as, depending on how much text you have, it can just be a little difficult. So that's one possible difference in drawing between text and shapes. If you have a different idea, then I'd love for you to share that with the rest of the class, because we all think differently, and so it would be great to know what other differences you were able to spot that I wasn't able to spot. Our question of the day, type this in your journal and let's answer it. How can we use text to improve our scenes and animation? And if you can't quite answer this, like if you're having a little trouble answering this, imagine what it would be like if there was already text here. Imagine this one right here. What if this what if this wasn't here? How does the text being here make this picture better? Okay. That concludes our lesson 9. And if you have any questions, please reach out and let me know, and I'll be happy to help.